welcome to Viewpoint. My name is Volodymyr Solup, and right now I'm joined by the Deputy Director General, Director for Political and Legal Programs of Razumkov think tank, Mr. Yuriy Yakymenko. Mr. Yakymenko, welcome to Viewpoint.
Hello.
Mr. Yakymenko, more and more Western partners, Ukraine's Western partners, are expressing their dissatisfaction with the slow pace of reforms in Ukraine, and namely with that there is no political will to fight the corruption, and first and foremost, the corruption in the prosecutor's office. And you yourself, just recently, you made a comment in the media, first recognizing this fact, and second, claiming that there is no political will in the parliament to dismiss the Prosecutor General. Can you tell us why is this happening?
You see, there are two sides of this problem. First of all, we are speaking about institutional corruption in the General Prosecutor's Office as a whole. So it needs more systematic reforms. And secondly, we're speaking about personal dissatisfaction of the precise man in the position of General Prosecutor. And the problem is that this man is in the position of political nominee. He was nominated by a political party, and more precisely by the presidential political party and by the president.
So basically, he's a president man, and since
yes.
president controls the majority in the parliament won't dismiss the Prosecutor General.
In fact, if we have still this majority and the presidential party plays the most important role in those majority, it depends completely on the position of those political parties.
But what about the pressure from the West? Isn't this pressure enough on the president to get rid of his guy as the Prosecutor General?
Yeah, as I told, it's only one part of the story, if you're speaking about this General Prosecutor. But the story is about reformation of this agency itself. And here is probably a deeper problem, because if you're speaking that there are new persons in those agencies who are trying to make some reforms, on the other side we see that they are not succeed too much in those. So here is a more systematic
so basically
systematic approach.
Changing the top guy will not help with reforms.
Of course, it will be, I think, a big impetus for those reforms if to replace. But then we have to look for another person in those positions, because we have 3 consecutive general prosecutors who were fired, and now we are expecting a new one. Who will be this new one? If we just hope too much from the personality, I think it takes time and efforts to look for the proper personality for those positions.
So, Mr. Yakymenko, what you're saying is that the president is currently looking for a new Prosecutor General?
I think so, because this pressure from the West, I think it's strong enough in order to start even to modulate those future changes in the General Prosecutor's Office.
Yeah, but if we're talking of the pressure from the West, it's not just the pressure to change the top guy, it's the pressure to change the entire body of the Prosecutor General. Because just earlier this month, the Assistant Secretary of State on European and Eurasian Affairs of the United States Department of State, Ms. Victoria Nuland, said that the entire body of the prosecutor's office needs to be changed. It needs to be re-established the way the Ukrainian police has been done. So basically, they hired completely new people into the police, and she says something same should be done with the prosecutor's office. Do you think this is realistic?
Now we observe that this process in one part is going already, because now we have a test and competition for existing prosecutors who are working in the system, and a new person have a chance to be appointed as a prosecutors on different levels. In fact, we have something similar with those process of recruitment of new police officers, but everything depends on will this process be transparent, and will it be aimed for this final goal to have a completely new office based on different, in comparison with present standards and approaches.
Understood. How successful do you think this project of recruitment of new prosecutors will be? Do you think it will be the same success as with the police?
I think that some changes will happen finally, but I don't think that it will be the same success with the new police, because I personally think that it is a really success, because we don't start it from the very beginning. We already started to change the system while it is working. is still working, it's still reproducing the same time, the same type of activities and so on and so forth
And
in the same time.
Mr. Yakymenko, can we talk a little bit about the elections? The 25th of October, local elections, some of the political experts say that this is just the preparation for the extraordinary parliamentary elections, which are already somewhere on the paper scheduled to take place next year. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that the country is being prepared, was prepared for the new parliamentary elections?
I see that this is one of the reasons why these local elections have so active participation of different political forces, including both parliamentary and the new ones. In fact, these elections are important from three reasons, from my opinion. First of all, we have to complete, and this is a completion of the full circle of renovation of governmental structures in this country, because we just go into local governments. Secondly, it is because...
yeah, but the parliamentary elections just took place last year.
After that, yes, we had presidential elections, we have parliamentary elections, and now local elections. It's complete the whole circle.
Okay.
Secondly, it's because in 2017 we may have the new local election, but to self-governmental bodies with wider powers. And those political forces who intended to seriously influence the policy in regions now must be prepared to get those positions in 2017. And the third factor that you mentioned, it's it's extremely important. It's a factor of probability of the new parliamentary elections, of new extra elections. And a lot of parties, during this year, we have almost 50 new political parties appear on political arena. And those parties that succeed in these elections probably will get the position to start the parliamentary campaigns. So there are obvious links between those local and parliamentary elections.
Yeah, but can you explain the logic of the president? The polls of the president, the polls of the prime minister are extremely low. Basically, if you have a parliamentary elections tomorrow, their respective political parties will have very few MPs, will have very low ratings. But obviously, without the consent of, or a silent consent of the president, this won't happen. So how this backstage mechanics is working?
You know, normally about elections are speaking people who are either in opposition now, like oppositional bloc, or people who are not in the coalition, or new political forces. There are no speeches of the president or statements of prime minister about elections. Moreover, president recently said that we will have a 4 years period of stability. It means without elections. So they are not interested in those elections. And in my personal opinion, I think it's just enough elections for this moment. But it doesn't mean that something may changes in the future, because if we have the complete breakdown of the coalition, we have a constitutional basis, background for claiming for a new early parliamentary elections.
So basically that is a question. How will the president allow for these elections to take place? His polls are very low right now.
If we have these constitutional provisions, it's not a matter of president to allow or disallow those elections. It will be just his constitutional obligation to call those elections. But now,
but of course, he can maneuver his way not to allow the coalition to break. Correct?
But coalition itself doesn't depend completely on the president. We have another parts of the coalition, and we have Yatsenyuk's political party, we have Yulia Tymoshenko's bloc, and other parts of the coalition. And it's hardly to imagine now the different format of this coalition in this Verkhovna Rada, because otherwise those pro-European and pro-Maidan political forces should unite with anti-Maidan and the political dissidential party of region.
So, Mr. Yakymenko, basically, are we going to have the parliamentary elections next year or not? Are we going to see the coalition split or not?
In my opinion, we won't have the early parliamentary elections next year, so everything may happen. So let's leave this opportunity as well.
Well, of course, everything is possible, especially in Ukraine. Mr. Yakymenko, many thanks for finding the time to come and talk to us. We'll be following the developments very closely. This has been Volodymyr Masulov for Viewpoint, together with the Deputy Director General, Director for Political and Legal Programs of Razumkov think tank, Mr. Yuriy Yakymenko. Thank you for watching us.